Health is not something that you need to acquire. It is something you already have. Don't interfere with it, particularly with your beliefs. It is important to recognize that this applies to all of your relationships as well. If any human relationship you are in is unsatisfactory in any way, be certain that you are not compounding the problem by continuing to give energy to the aspects that you dislike. For example, when someone says they don't get along with their parents or their spouse, they are defining the relationship in terms of what they dislike. It is impossible to live with her, there's always arguing, there's no respect for me, and so on. If you find you do this, begin to raise your energy level and remind yourself that relationships are exclusively experienced in your thoughts. Shift those thoughts upwards in frequency to the level of spiritual consciousness and bring that to the relationship. For you, the person doing the upgrade in vibration, the relationship will change regardless of how anyone else reacts, and also the problem in the relationship will disappear. How many times have you heard the words, "I can't help it, this is the way I was taught to do this," or words to this effect? Many of the problems that we face are due to our being attached to the way we've always done things. Suppose you have a mindset which has produced a host of failures. These problems might involve a series of failed relationships in which you end up continuing to feel victimized. Or they might be the result of addictive behavior that persists despite having changed the substances you've craved over the years. Or you may have a pattern of being wasteful with your finances. Or perhaps you've experienced one chronic illness after another, even though the places on your body take turns being the troublesome spots. We are subjected to many illusions in our daily life. The greatest one is the one which keeps us trapped in giving our energy to what has always been. This illusion is characterized by the belief that the past is the reason why I'm continuing to believe in these ways. I have referred to the wake of a fast-moving boat. The wake is the trail that is left behind, and nothing more. The wake cannot drive the boat. The wake of your life does not drive your body. But the present moment energy that you put into the events of your past, explaining or excusing your continuing problems, does affect your life today. And that is the source of those problems. The second factor that keeps us producing those unwanted problems is our love of wallowing around in the dramas of our past and using our inner energy to remind ourselves and anyone who will listen of all that created the problems we experience today. No one said it better or more succinctly than William Shakespeare when he reminded us, "What's done is done." Many of your so-called problems are present today because you are caught up in your personal history. Know in your heart that everything in your wake had to take place in order for you to be where you are today. And what is my evidence for making such a statement? Everything did take place, period. Rather than cursing it, bless it and bring love and acceptance to it. There's no shortage of folks out there who will let you know how they expect you to think, feel, and behave. Now suppose that you are filled with deep resentment about how those people are continually reminding you of their expectations for you. The antidote for resolving this problem is a spiritual one. You must learn to increase your energy vibrations from the low range of anger and resentment to the higher ranges of kindness, love, and forgiveness. The moment that you no longer react with that low energy, the illusion of your problem will disappear. I observed an 18-year-old friend of one of our daughters talking to his mother on the telephone. As he hung up the phone in frustration, he said, "She makes me so angry. She's always telling me what to think and where to go and how to do things." He was obviously upset. I told him he had two choices. He could either continue to practice being right or practice being kind. If you insist on being right, you will argue, get frustrated, angry, and your problems will persist with your mom, I explained. If you simply practice being kind, you can remind yourself that this is your mom. She's always been that way. She will very likely stay that way. But you're going to send her love instead of anger when she starts in with her routine. A simple statement of kindness such as, "That's a good point, Mom. I'll think about it." And you have a spiritual solution to your problem. When you need to be right, you stay invested in the world of low energy. When you practice being kind, you bring a spiritual essence to the illusion of a problem, and amazingly, it just disappears. There is a stillness in you that cannot be disturbed. A place untouched by fear, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the noise of the world. It has no name, yet it knows everything. It has no shape, yet it holds the shape of your peace. It is not your mind,
for your mind is loud. It is not your emotions, for your emotions are waves. It is not your body, for the body withers and bends to time. It is the part of you that watches quietly, lovingly, unmoved. And in that watching, there is power. We spend most of our lives reacting to what was said, to what wasn't said, to the look someone gave, to the news flashing across our screens, to the stories we carry like old, worn clothes, too heavy to wear, but too familiar to take off. We live at the mercy of our interpretations, our wounds, our replays of the past, and projections of the future. We live, but we do not watch. We act, but we do not see. To watch is not to detach from life, it is to arrive fully in it. It is to stop being dragged by the stream of every emotion and every judgment. It is to sit at the edge of the river and say, there it is again, the fear, the anger, the memory, the story, and then let it flow. The ego is a brilliant but frantic storyteller. It cannot live in the present moment because the present moment exposes its illusions. It thrives on reaction because it feeds on control. The ego needs your agreement. It needs your reactivity to survive. But your soul does not need to prove itself. It simply is. It observes without trying to fix. It accepts without needing to justify. It loves without asking to be loved back. Being the watcher is not an escape, it is the return. When you become the watcher, you are no longer the puppet of your past. You are no longer the hostage of your triggers. You begin to see that the anger is not you, it is an energy that passes through. The grief is not you, it is a wave that visits, not a house you must live in. The fear is not you, it is a voice, not your truth. There is a sacred gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is where you reclaim your life. That gap is where the watcher lives. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not your thoughts. You are the spaciousness that notices them arise and fall. You are not the chaos. You are the calm watching the chaos. And when you remember this, you become free. Freedom doesn't come when the world is silent. It comes when you can hear the noise and choose not to be it. It comes when you can feel the heat of anger and not throw it. When you can taste the sting of offense and not become offended. When you can sit in the storm of opinion and not get swept away by any of it. There is no greater strength than presence. To be present is to live beyond reaction. It is to let go of the idea that everything demands your emotional involvement. It is to allow people to be who they are without needing to correct them. It is to hear a criticism and not make it your identity. It is to receive praise and not build your worth upon it. Presence is not passive. It is alert, grounded, alive. The watcher is not distant. The watcher is compassionate. It sees clearly because it does not cling. It understands deeply because it listens without defense. It acts with power because it does not act from fear. You see, when you become the watcher, life softens. Not because life changes, but because you do. The same situations arise, but they no longer own you. The same people trigger the same old patterns, but now you recognize them as patterns, not as truth. You stop bleeding into every moment. You stop needing everything to validate your sense of self. You return to your inner sanctuary, the place where your soul sits with open hands and a quiet smile, knowing that all things are passing clouds. You cannot stop the world from shouting, but you can stop yourself from echoing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." And how often we let our own reactivity become the very suffering we try to avoid. We mistake reaction for power, but reaction is bondage. Reaction is the ego's way of staying alive. True power is in the pause. True power is in the breath that says, "I see you, emotion, but I do not belong to you." The watcher doesn't suppress, it doesn't deny, It simply sees, and in seeing, it liberates. Watch yourself when you're offended. Who is it that feels so injured? Is it your soul, or is it an identity you've built, now threatened by someone else's opinion? Watch your defensiveness. Who is it defending? The truth needs no defense. The ego, however, is always on guard. Watch your craving for validation. Who is it that wants to be seen? The infinite spirit within you is already seen. It is seen by the entire universe. There is nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix to be enough. Nothing you need to hold on to be safe. The watcher knows this. The reactor forgets. Let your breath be your teacher. When it quickens, when it shortens, when it tightens, that is the moment to return. That is the moment to step out of the role and back into the witness. Each inhale is a choice. Each exhale is a letting go. The more you breathe consciously, the more you become aware. And awareness is the birthplace of all transformation. When you are the watcher, you stop needing life to behave the way you want it to. You stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that people be different to make you happy. You stop controlling what was never yours to control. And in this surrender, you find peace not as an achievement, but as your original nature. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is what remains when you stop reacting. So many of us live on the edge of offense. We're ready to be hurt, ready to be insulted, ready to be outraged. We've trained ourselves to scan for threat, not physical threat, but psychological threat. Someone disagrees with us and we feel erased. Someone rejects us and we feel unworthy. But what if none of it was personal? What if every offense is an invitation to awaken? You are not what others say to you. You are what you choose to hear. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away if they must. The watcher does not flinch. The watcher knows that the truth doesn't need to chase anything. The truth just is. And if someone cannot see you, that does not make you invisible. If someone rejects you, that does not make you invalid. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand. The moment you stop needing to react, you begin to live. You begin to notice the small joys, the way the sunlight touches the leaves, the pause between two heartbeats, the sacred silence after a deep breath. These are the spaces where the divine speaks, but you must be still enough to hear. And stillness does not mean inactivity. Stillness is presence. It is clarity. It is the quiet power of a soul unbothered by the noise. You have nothing to defend, no argument to win, no ego to preserve. You have only the opportunity in every moment to return to the watcher within. So next time you feel the rise of reaction, pause, breathe, watch. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not tremble when clouds pass through it. It does not cling to the rain or resist the lightning. It allows, it witnesses, it remains. And so must you. Your true self, the eternal witness, has never been broken, never been threatened, never been less than whole. It is only the ego that flinches, that crumbles, that begs for validation in the eyes of others. The soul simply watches and waits, knowing the truth is never in the noise. Every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are retraining your consciousness. You are shifting the gravity of your identity from the external to the internal, from fear to love, from protection to presence. You become like the ocean, watching its own waves rise and fall, but never mistaking the waves for its essence. The turbulence no longer defines you. The stillness beneath becomes your home. There is a moment brief but sacred when awareness interrupts a habit. That moment is a portal to liberation. A chance to say, I see it, I've been here before, but this time I choose differently. And in that subtle shift, your entire life begins to change. Not because the world softens, but because you no longer harden in its presence. You stop armoring up every time someone looks at you the wrong way. You stop bracing for judgment. You begin to live unclenched, wide open, deeply rooted, and profoundly present. And isn't that what true power is? To be unshakable, not because you dominate, but because you no longer need to defend. To be calm in the midst of fire. To be kind without condition. To be aware of the storm and yet centered in your stillness. This is the life of the awakened. Not free of conflict, but free of entanglement. Not void of feeling, but void of control by those feelings. When you stop reacting, you begin seeing. You see the other person not as an enemy, but as a mirror. You see your anger not as a truth, but as a message. You see your triggers as teachers. You see life not as a series of attacks, but as a series of invitations to evolve. You begin to understand that everything that once made you flinch is here to make you free. The reactive self is a prisoner of the past. It is stitched together by old wounds, unconscious stories, and inherited beliefs. It's constantly trying to protect something, a fragile image, a constructed identity, a false sense of self. But the watcher knows there is nothing to protect because the soul is not a character. The soul cannot be injured by opinion, it cannot be destroyed by loss, it cannot be undone by time. You are not your conditioning, you are not your defense mechanisms, you are not the fight or flight impulse that flares up when things don't go your way. You are the one who sees it all. And in seeing it all, you are no longer owned by any of it. Have you ever felt the weight of a reaction coming, the anger bubbling, the heart racing, the story forming, and then you paused, you breathed, you watched, and just like that, the charge softened. That is presence. That is awakening. That is what it means to remember yourself in the heat of forgetting. It's not about never feeling triggered. It's about no longer being tricked into believing those triggers define you. It's not about being a stone cold and unfeeling. It's about being a mountain still and grounded, even as the winds howl around you. You see, the more you watch without reacting, the more you begin to trust life again. You realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every situation demands your opinion. Not every disagreement is a battlefield. You stop entering every interaction with armor. You stop needing the last word. You begin to understand that silence can be the loudest answer. That stillness can be the most powerful presence. And in that space, that holy space between what happened and how you choose to respond, a miracle occurs. The miracle of self-possession, of divine clarity, of peace that cannot be disturbed by anything outside of you. You no longer live from habit, you live from intention. You begin to meet life with eyes open, heart soft, and soul steady. The reactive mind is always chasing approval, chasing control, chasing an identity it can hold on to. But the watcher knows there is nothing to chase when you already are. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully awake in yourself. To be so deeply rooted in your presence that even if the world misreads you, misunderstands you, misjudges you, you stay true. Truth needs no audience. Presence needs no applause. The divine in you needs no permission. And so I invite you, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment, to pause. Let the breath remind you of the eternal now. Let the silence return you to the sacred watcher. Let the witness within you rise. And from that space, observe. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Observe your emotions without dramatizing. Observe your life without rushing to fix, correct, or judge. This is not the end of your spiritual path. This is the beginning. Because when you become the watcher, everything changes. Not by force, but by frequency. You stop vibrating at the level of the problem and begin rising into the solution. You stop looking for healing in others and start embodying it within yourself. You stop playing the role of the victim or the hero and simply become real. And in your realness, your grounded, divine, conscious presence, you begin to heal not just yourself, but everyone you touch. Not through preaching, not through trying, but simply through being. Being the space, being the peace, being the clarity in a world addicted to confusion. You are not here to be tossed around by life. You are here to be the still point, the silent flame, the breath between the chaos. And you'll know when you found this place, not because life gets easier, but because you stop collapsing in front of it. Your center becomes unshakable. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your love becomes unconditional. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. When you no longer live at the mercy of your reactions, you step into the rarest kind of power, the power of inner authority. Not dominance, not superiority, but sovereignty of the soul. You're no longer pulled by every emotional wind, no longer yanked into battles that aren't yours. You become a space of presence that others can feel but cannot disturb. You begin to hear the world not just through your ears, but through your spirit. Someone may yell and you hear their pain. Someone may judge and you hear their fear. Someone may try to provoke and you sense their longing for love. The watcher sees this, not to become better than anyone, but to remember none of it is about you. And what a relief that is. What a deep, cleansing sigh for the soul to know you are not responsible for the storms in other people's skies. You are only responsible for whether you bring your umbrella or your sunshine, whether you enter their storm or remain the calm that invites them into clarity. To live as the watcher is not to become indifferent, it's to become deeply compassionate without losing yourself. Compassion doesn't require you to abandon your peace. In fact, real compassion flows from peace. When you react, you join others in their suffering. But when you watch, you become the mirror that reflects something higher. You say without words, you don't have to live like that. There's another way. And when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to radiate peace. Not the kind that looks peaceful on the outside, but simmers with resentment underneath. Not the kind that avoids conflict by shrinking. No, this is the peace that walks into any room and changes its atmosphere. The peace that speaks without words. The peace that silences chaos just by being. Because when you are no longer at war with yourself, the world cannot drag you into battle. You stop arguing with reality. You stop trying to edit the universe to match your preferences. You stop needing the moment to be anything other than what it is. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become present. You take action, not from desperation, but from alignment. You speak, not to defend, but to express love. You listen, not to prepare your reply, but to understand with your whole being. This is how the soul moves. Gently, powerfully, without rush, and oh, how the world needs more of this. More beings who don't crumble at conflict, who don't lose themselves trying to win approval, who aren't addicted to proving they're right. The world is loud with reactions. Be the one who is quiet with understanding. Be the one who slows down when others speed up. Be the one who chooses grace when the ego demands retaliation. There is a river inside you that has never stopped flowing. Even when you were tangled in your thoughts, even when you believed the voice of fear, even when you reacted with anger, shame, or pride, that river was always there, steady, ancient, divine. It is your true nature. The watcher lives there. The soul drinks from it. And your freedom begins the moment you return to its banks. So when you feel yourself being pulled into the story, the fight, the trigger, the need to explain, the craving to be seen, pause. Let the breath return you. Let your awareness remind you. Let the watcher reclaim the moment. Because life isn't about avoiding the waves, it's about learning to surf them with awareness. It's about realizing that no matter what chaos dances across the surface, the depths of who you are remain unmoved. That is your home. That is your truth. That is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been lost, never been less than divine. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in ego but in soul, then your presence becomes medicine. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to save the world. You don't even have to change anyone's mind. Just be what you are when you're not reacting. Light, calm, truth, stillness. That is enough. More than enough. That is the invitation you offer the world. Come sit with me in this silence and remember who you are. And if they do, beautiful. And if they don't, you continue walking, not in pride, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the watcher walks with grace. And grace, my friend, is the only power that doesn't need to shout. The watcher walks with grace, not because it is immune to pain, but because it no longer mistakes pain for identity. It has learned the sacred art of presence, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. To watch is to love without possession, to listen without preparing to speak, to live without the weight of needing everything to be different in order to be okay. And when you live like this, when you truly become the watcher, the need to be understood falls away. You no longer plead with the world to see you, to validate you, to applaud your efforts. You know that to be seen by the divine within you is more than enough. You feel the presence of the infinite, not as something to chase, but as something that never left. Something that was always whispering beneath your reaction. You are not this storm. You are the sky. It passes through. And in this realization, you soften. You stop bracing for impact. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop living from the haunted echoes of what if and what was. You rest not in exhaustion, but in awakening. You stop trying to control what's never been yours, and instead surrender to the stillness that has always been home. You forgive yourself for every time you believe the lie that you were only as worthy as your performance, only as loved as your usefulness, only as safe as your defenses. You forgive yourself for the times you reacted, for the times you fell into fear, for the times you said what your soul never meant, not because it was right, but because you are ready to be free. Forgiveness, too, is an act of watching, of saying, yes, I see the wound, but I also see who I truly am beyond it. And then something quiet but life-altering begins to happen. You stop waiting for permission to be at peace. You stop postponing joy until circumstances align. You stop bargaining with life. If this happens, then I'll feel whole. No. Wholeness is now, peace is now, God is now. Everything you've been chasing while reacting was always sitting silently in the sanctuary of your awareness. The watcher knows that time is not the answer, presence is. You don't need another year to become what your soul already is. You don't need more proof, more agreement, more applause. You need only this breath, this stillness, this radical return to the center that has never abandoned you. And this is not a theory, this is an embodiment. When you embody the watcher, your life becomes less about performance and more about presence. You start speaking less and saying more. You start needing less and feeling fuller. You begin walking through the world with a softness that doesn't ask, do you accept me? But instead radiates, I accept myself. And because you accept yourself, others feel safe to do the same in your presence. Your being becomes a sanctuary, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer react to prove your worth, you respond from the overflow of your awareness. That's how the divine speaks. Not to convince, but to awaken. Not to correct, but to reflect. You begin to realize that every trigger was a teacher, and every interruption was an initiation. That the very moments which once made you spiral were not obstacles, they were sacred doorways. Doorways leading you deeper into the witness, deeper into grace, deeper into the stillness that does not flinch, does not fight, and does not fear. And now, you are ready. Not ready to achieve something, not ready to prove anything, but ready to finally live, not from the ego's urgency, but from the soul's timelessness. Ready to meet the day, not as a battle, but as a blessing. Ready to hold space instead of hold grudges. Ready to watch your thoughts pass like clouds and realize you are the sky. You always were. The world may still swirl, people may still project, but you now walk as the calm inside the center of it all. And when old reactions try to rise, because they will, you'll meet them with compassion, not condemnation. You'll greet them like old friends with fading power, saying gently, I see you, but I no longer serve you. And in that moment, you will smile, not because life is perfect, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not the fear. You are not the noise. You are not the ego's constant commentary. You are the one who watches all of it and chooses love anyway. So breathe, beloved soul. Breathe and return to this sacred moment, to this steady presence, to this watcher that does not need to win but only needs to witness. Let others shout. Let the world race. Let the noise unfold. You just keep watching. Just keep being, just keep loving, because when you are the watcher, not the reactor, you do not just change your life. You remember that you are life. And life, in its truest form, does not react. It flows. It trusts. It shines. And so do you. There is a quiet power that exists within each of USA Power that, when embraced, transforms the very fabric of our lives. It is a power that speaks not through force, but through a subtle yet unwavering clarity. It is the power of setting boundaries, of establishing in our own hearts and in the world around us the sacred space that preserves our peace, our joy, and our truth. Many of us walk through life with a deep sense of disconnection from this power, believing that to love others, we must give endlessly, to surrender ourselves entirely. We have been taught to ignore our own needs, to sacrifice our well-being for the sake of others, and to be endlessly accommodating, even when it costs us our sense of self. But this, my dear friends, is not the path of self-love. This is the path of depletion, of losing touch with the essence of who we are, and of abandoning the very heart of our truth. True love, real love, begins with the deep respect and honor we show to ourselves. And one of the most sacred ways to honor yourself is by establishing boundaries that reflect your worth. Boundaries are not walls to keep others away. They are bridges that connect you to your own heart and soul. They are the language of self-respect, spoken not in words, but in actions, in the choices you make, in the way you move through the world with a quiet confidence that says, I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of my own presence. Boundaries are not limitations, nor are they restrictive. On the contrary, they are liberating. They are the invisible lines that allow your soul to expand into its true potential without fear of being overwhelmed, exploited, or diminished. They are the spaces where you find yourself, again, where you remember who you truly are without the noise of the world drowning out your inner voice. Imagine, for a moment, a garden. This garden is your life, your spirit, your essence. It is lush and vibrant, filled with the flowers of your dreams, the fruits of your efforts, and the beauty of your soul. Now imagine that the garden has no fence, no boundary to protect it. It is vulnerable to the elements, to the animals that wander through, to the weeds that seek to overtake it. Without a fence, this garden is open to anything and everything, both the nourishing and the destructive. But when you place a boundary around that gardenia gate, a fence, a wall of love and respect, you are not shutting out the world. You are simply ensuring that only that which nourishes you can enter. You are making space for your soul to grow, free from the encroachments of negativity, fear, and unhealthy influences. Your garden becomes a sanctuary, a place of peace, a place where you can breathe, bloom, and become all that you are meant to be. This is what boundaries do for your life. They create the space for you to exist fully in your truth, without compromise, without apology. Boundaries are the essence of your self-respect. They are the sacred lines that tell the world, this is who I am, and I will no longer accept anything less than my highest good. But to set boundaries, we must first understand something profound about ourselves. We are not here to please everyone. We are not here to be liked by everyone. We are not here to carry the burdens of others at the expense of our own peace. This is not selfishness. This is self-respect. And when we learn to honor ourselves in this way, we begin to realize that we are not only honoring ourselves, but we are also teaching others how to treat us. The most loving thing you can do for yourself is to honor your own needs. If you constantly give without receiving, if you allow others to overstep your boundaries, you are sending a message to the universe that you are not worthy of being treated with the same care and respect you so freely offer to others. You are teaching the world that it is okay to take from you without offering anything in return. And this, my friends, is a disservice to your soul. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about taking control of your own life. They are not about telling others what they can or cannot do, but rather about expressing your needs and making sure that you are not compromising your own well-being for the sake of others. Boundaries are a declaration of self-worth, a deep acknowledgement that you deserve to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with love. And yet, despite the power and importance of boundaries, many of us resist setting them. We fear the discomfort that may arise when we say no to someone, or when we stand up for ourselves in the face of opposition. We fear rejection, judgment, and conflict. We believe that setting boundaries will make us seem rude, selfish, or unkind. But in truth, it is the opposite that is true. When we fail to set boundaries, we are being disrespectful to ourselves. We are dishonoring the divine spark within us, and we are allowing our energy, our time, and our love to be squandered by those who do not value us. The fear of setting boundaries often comes from a deep-seated belief that we are not enough, that we must constantly give in order to be worthy of love or acceptance. But this is a lie. You are already enough. You are already whole. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone by overextending yourself, by exhausting your energy, or by compromising your truth. You are deserving of respect, of space, and of peace simply because you exist. When you begin to set boundaries, you will notice a shift in your life. You will begin to feel more at ease with yourself, more grounded in your own sense of purpose and direction. You will begin to attract people who respect you, who honor your needs, and who value your presence. You will find yourself in relationships that are mutually nourishing, where giving and receiving flow in balance. You will no longer feel drained, depleted, or overwhelmed, for you will have created the sacred space to nurture your own soul. Boundaries, my dear friends, are not walls of separation. They are the walls of self-love, self-respect, and self-care. They are the space in which you can breathe, grow, and evolve into the fullest expression of who you are. They are the language of your soul, speaking clearly and decisively to the world. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of my own presence. So I ask you now, what boundaries do you need to set in your life? What are the areas where you have been overextending yourself, where you have been giving without receiving, where you have been neglecting your own needs? What are the relationships, the situations, the environments that are draining your energy and preventing you from living in your truth? It is time, my friends, to take a stand for yourself. It is time to honor your soul. It is time to create the sacred space in which you can thrive. And as you do, you will find that the world around you begins to shift. You will no longer be a victim of circumstance. You will no longer feel helpless or overwhelmed. You will be the master of your own life, and in doing so, you will become a beacon of light for others to follow. Remember this, boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. They are the lines that connect you to your highest self, to your truth, and to your deepest potential. They are the language of self-respect, spoken not in words, but in actions and choices and in the way you live your life. And when you speak this language with clarity and conviction, you will find that the world responds with the same love, respect, and peace that you have chosen to give yourself. You are worthy of your own love. You are worthy of your own respect. You are worthy of your own peace. And the time to honor yourself to set your boundaries is now. May you walk forward with the strength and courage to honor your truth, to honor your soul, and to embrace the beautiful, powerful, and divine being that you are. As you stand at the threshold of this new understanding, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound transformation that is occurring within you. In this very moment, you are shedding the old layers, the beliefs and fears that have held you hostage for far too long. You are unearthing the truth that has always resided within you, waiting patiently for you to remember you are not here to serve others at the expense of your own soul's peace. So many of us have lived in a state of fear, fearing the consequences of asserting our boundaries, believing that we would be abandoned, criticized, or misunderstood. We've been taught that self-respect is selfishness, that honoring our needs is a sign of weakness. But what if, instead of being weak, this is where your true power lies? What if honoring yourself, taking the time to nurture your spirit, your mind, your body, was the most powerful act of self-love and respect you could ever offer to the world? Imagine for a moment that your soul is a vast, expansive ocean. It is deep, boundless, and brimming with infinite potential. But imagine if that ocean had no shores, no boundaries. It would be constantly swayed by every passing current, every wave that came its way. It would be endlessly susceptible to the storms of life, with no protection, no foundation upon which to stand. But when you create boundaries, when you set the shorelines of your soul, you are allowing your ocean to be still, to find its own rhythm, to flow within the beauty of its own vastness. You give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to grow in a way that is aligned with your deepest essence. Boundaries allow you to be your truest self without fear of being swept away by the demands, expectations, and judgments of others. When you stand firm in your truth, when you honor your needs, you are not rejecting the world. You are simply choosing to honor the love and wisdom that resides within you. You are saying to yourself and to the world, I am worthy of my own care. I am worthy of my own peace. I am worthy of my own love. And when you honor yourself in this way, something miraculous happens. You begin to magnetize the same energy into your life. You start to attract people, situations, and opportunities that respect your boundaries, that honor your essence, and that support your growth. Your life begins to unfold in a way that feels natural, effortless, and aligned with your soul's purpose. You begin to experience relationships that are mutually nourishing, where love flows freely and without condition, where respect is a given, not something that needs to be earned. But it all begins with you. It all begins with your decision to stop waiting for the permission of others to live your truth. No one else can give you the validation, the peace, or the love that you seek. It can only come from within. The boundaries you set are not walls to keep the world out. They are doors to invite in only that which serves your highest good. They are the spaces in which you come alive, in which you connect with the deepest parts of yourself that have been waiting for you to remember. As you move forward in life, there will be times when you are faced with challenges, when people will test your boundaries, when life will ask you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. In those moments, remember this: you do not have to say yes to everything. You do not have to sacrifice your peace, your well-being, or your truth for the sake of others. Your boundaries are not rigid. They are flexible, fluid, and ever-evolving. They can bend, shift, and grow with you, but they must always remain rooted in the love and respect that you have for yourself. When you choose to honor your boundaries, you are not closing yourself off from the world. You are opening yourself to a deeper, more authentic connection with the world. You are teaching others how to honor your needs just as you honor theirs. You are creating a space where love, compassion, and understanding can flourish, free from the distractions, judgments, and insecurities that often cloud our relationships. And in this space, you find your true power. You realize that you are not a victim to the circumstances of your life, but the creator of your experience. You are no longer bound by the expectations of others, but free to live fully in alignment with your soul's truth. You become the master of your own destiny, no longer waiting for the world to define you, but instead defining the world around you with the strength of your love, your clarity, and your boundaries. This, my friends, is the path of true freedom. It is the path of self-respect. It is the path of honoring yourself, of giving yourself the space to become the fullest expression of your divine self. It is the path of saying, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of peace, I am worthy of my own presence. And as you walk this path, you will discover that the more you honor yourself, the more you are able to give to others. The more you set boundaries that protect your peace, the more you have to offer the world. Your energy becomes pure, radiant, and untainted by the noise of the world. You become a beacon of light for others to follow, a living example of what it means to live in alignment with your highest self. So, take this moment to breathe deeply, to center yourself, and to reflect on the boundaries you need to set in your life. What are the areas where you have been overextending yourself? What are the relationships or situations that are draining your energy and keeping you from fully embracing your truth? What are the boundaries that will allow you to live with greater peace, greater joy, and greater alignment with your divine purpose? It is time, my friends, to honor yourself. It is time to step into the fullness of your being, to create the space where you can thrive, and to embrace the love, respect, and peace that you so richly deserve. As you do, you will find that the world around you begins to shift. You will find that you no longer need to chase love, peace, or happiness. They will come to you naturally as a result of the boundaries you have set in place. Remember this: you are worthy of your own love. You are worthy of your own respect. You are worthy of your own peace. And when you honor these truths within yourself, the world will reflect them back to you in ways that you never thought possible. May you walk forward with the strength and courage to honor your truth, to honor your soul, and to embrace the beautiful, powerful, and divine being that you are. You are worthy of every good thing that life has to offer, and it begins with the simple yet profound act of setting boundaries that reflect your worth. As we continue this path, you will encounter moments that will test your resolve. Life, in its infinite wisdom, often presents us with opportunities disguised as challenges, asking us to stand firm in our truth. These tests are not obstacles. They are invitations inviting you to rise to the occasion, to hold your boundaries with grace and conviction. There will be moments when the people around you do not understand your boundaries. They may resist, they may challenge, or they may try to convince you that you are being too rigid, too self-centered, or too demanding. In these moments, remember this: your boundaries are not meant to be understood by everyone. They are meant to be felt deeply within the core of your being. The world may not always honor your boundaries, but that does not mean that they are not valid. The essence of a boundary is that it is personal, it is sacred, and it is rooted in your divine right to be at peace with yourself. You see, boundaries are not about controlling others. They are not about manipulation or punishment. They are about creating the space for your soul to breathe, to thrive, and to evolve. They are the invisible lines that protect your inner world, that safeguard your peace, your energy, and your purpose. When you set boundaries, you are not rejecting others. You are simply affirming that you have a right to exist in your truth, free from the distractions, expectations, and manipulations of the world. It is in these moments of resistance, when others push against your boundaries, that you are called to stand firm in your power. This is not an act of defiance, it is an act of self-respect. It is a recognition that your needs, your peace, and your well-being matter. And when you hold firm to your boundaries, you are not just honoring yourself, you are teaching others how to honor you as well. Boundaries also serve another profound purpose. They bring clarity into your relationships. When you set clear boundaries, you are communicating to the world exactly what you need, what you will accept, and what you will not. This clarity opens the door for deeper, more meaningful connections because you are no longer engaging in relationships that drain your energy, that leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. Boundaries remove the ambiguity and allow both you and the other person to operate in a space of mutual respect, understanding, and trust. It is important to remember, however, that boundaries are not set once and for all. They are living, evolving expressions of your ongoing journey. As you grow, as you evolve, so too will your boundaries. What once felt right may no longer align with your truth, and that is perfectly okay. The act of setting and adjusting boundaries is an ongoing process of tuning into your deepest needs, your soul's desires, and your highest good. It is about being flexible and adaptable while never compromising your inner peace or your worth. Now, you may ask, what happens when you do not set boundaries? What happens when you allow others to overstep, when you do not speak your truth, or when you ignore the gentle whispers of your soul? The answer is simple. You begin to lose yourself. Slowly, gradually, over time, you become disconnected from your true essence. You may begin to feel depleted, overwhelmed, or resentful. You may find that you are constantly giving, but never receiving, that you are pouring from an empty cup. And when this happens, your soul begins to wither, and you lose sight of the peace, the joy, and the purpose that are meant to flow freely through you. But this does not have to be your reality. You do not have to live in a state of depletion. You do not have to live in a constant state of compromise or self-sacrifice. You have the power, the divine right, and the strength to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your truth. And it begins with the simple yet profound act of setting boundaries, of saying no when you need to, of walking away from situations that drain you, and of honoring the divine presence within you that seeks only peace, love, and joy. As you begin to honor your boundaries, something magical begins to unfold. You will notice that your energy becomes more vibrant, more focused, and more aligned with your soul's purpose. You will notice that your relationships become more authentic, more nourishing, and more fulfilling. And most importantly, you will notice that you begin to feel more at home with yourself, more at peace with your choices, and more aligned with the divine truth that resides within you. This is the gift of boundaries, the gift of reclaiming your power, your peace, and your divine essence. When you set boundaries, you are not rejecting the world. You are inviting the world to meet you at the level of your truth. You are inviting the world to recognize your worth, to honor your space, and to see you as you truly are a divine, worthy, and powerful being, deserving of love, respect, and peace. As we come to the close of this journey, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the boundaries that you need to set in your life. What areas need more space? What relationships need clearer definitions? Where are you giving away too much of your energy, your time, or your love? What are the changes that you can make right now that will honor your soul and create the space for your highest self to emerge? Remember, setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-love. It is the foundation of a life lived in alignment with your truth. It is the key to unlocking your full potential, to stepping into your power, and to living the life that you were always meant to live. May you walk forward with courage, with clarity, and with the unwavering knowledge that you are worthy of every good thing that life has to offer. May your boundaries be strong, and may they be an expression of the love, respect, and peace that you hold within. And may you continue to honor yourself, your soul, and your divine purpose, knowing that you are enough, you are worthy, and you are loved just as you are. You are the creator of your life, you are the master of your boundaries, and you are the keeper of your peace. As we reach the final part of this transformative journey, let us reflect on everything that has been shared and understood. You have discovered the profound power that comes from setting boundaries, boundaries that protect your peace, that honor your worth, and that create the sacred space necessary for your soul to thrive. You have learned that boundaries are not barriers to others, but bridges that connect you more deeply with your highest self, allowing you to walk through life with clarity, strength, and divine purpose. The path to true freedom is not one of endless compromise or self-sacrifice. It is the path of reclaiming your divine right to exist in your fullest expression, free from the influence of external demands that threaten your inner peace. And while the road to setting boundaries can be challenging at times, especially when you fear the reactions of others, it is the most loving and empowering act you can make. It is the act of honoring your own soul, your own needs, and your own truth. Knowing that when you do this, you create the space for your life to unfold with ease, grace, and alignment. But now, I ask you, how will you walk forward? The knowledge you have gained in this moment is not meant to remain only as an idea. It is meant to be lived, breathed, and embodied. It is time for you to take the first steps toward honoring yourself in the most sacred way possible by setting boundaries that reflect your worth, your truth, and your divine right to peace. It is time for you to look at the areas of your life where you have been overextending yourself, where you have allowed others to take too much, where you have neglected your own needs for the sake of others. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what are the areas of my life that require more respect? Where do I need to draw the line and say, this is enough? Perhaps it is in your relationships, those that have drained you, taken from you without offering anything in return. Perhaps it is in your work where you have given tirelessly, but the balance of energy exchange has been off, leaving you feeling undervalued and exhausted. Perhaps it is within yourself, where you have allowed old fears, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt to overrun your thoughts, preventing you from living your fullest life. Whatever it is, know this: you have the power to change it. The moment you say no to something that no longer serves you, you are not only freeing yourself, you are creating space for something greater to enter. You are creating space for peace. You are creating space for love. You are creating space for your soul to expand, to rise, and to be seen in its fullest light. Remember, my friends, that boundaries are not a form of isolation. They are an invitation for others to meet you at the level of your truth. When you set your boundaries, you are teaching the world how to treat you, and you are teaching others how to honor their own needs as well. Boundaries create a ripple effect, encouraging those around you to live with more integrity, more authenticity, and more respect for themselves and others. So, as you move forward, embrace the power of saying no when necessary. Embrace the power of choosing your peace over pleasing others. Embrace the power of stepping into your worth, knowing that you are enough, that you are deserving, and that you are worthy of your own love, care, and attention. This is your time, the time to reclaim your soul, the time to honor your truth, the time to live with boundaries that allow your spirit to soar, unfettered by the expectations and demands of the world. You are not here to give endlessly without receiving. You are not here to be the martyr, to lose yourself in the service of others. You are here to live fully, to live joyously, and to live in alignment with the divine truth that resides within you. And so I ask you now, will you honor your boundaries? Will you stand tall in your worth and create the space necessary for your soul to thrive? Will you choose peace, respect, and love, both for yourself and for those you encounter on your journey? I know you will. You have everything you need to walk this path. And as you do, you will become the living example of what it means to live in self-respect, self-love, and self-honor. You will become a beacon of light for others to follow, reminder that boundaries are not walls to shut the world out, but doors to allow the world in only at the level of your highest truth. And in this space, you will discover the boundless freedom that comes with living in alignment with your divine essence. You will realize that you are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the master of your own life. You are no longer afraid of setting boundaries because you understand that they are the language of self-respect, the language of self-love, and the language of freedom. So, As we come to the end of this journey, I leave you with this final thought. Your life is your own. It is a sacred, divine expression of who you are, and it is yours to shape, to nurture, and to protect. May you walk forward with the strength, the clarity, and the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing your worth, from setting boundaries, and from honoring your truth. You are worthy, you are enough, and you are loved just as you are. This is your time to rise. This is your time to shine. This is your time to live the life you were always meant to live. And so it is.